Fantastic.
Yay! We didn't have Applegate. We had Samsung Gate, Android Gate.
Android Gate, yeah.
Android Gate.
That'll be it.
Can't think of an actress called Android Gate.
There's bound to be one.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Bound to be one. Blimey, just in the total, shooting up.
What's it at now?
Getting some international contributors now. Shooting up.
Oh, hang on, I've got echo.
Getting some international contributors now.
Right, that can go. Oh. I'm trying to get back into the just go. What's it called?
Oh yeah.
Just giving. Oh, 5869. Wow.
Yeah, it's flying up.
Bloody hell. I'm happy with that because that's. I don't think it was 237 donations.
That's a lot of individual contributions, isn't it?
You know, last year I think it was only about 120.
Well, you've done something special here, haven't you?
Well, people who've donated have. Oh, hang on, no, that's not it. Oh wow! So I'm going to have to add a lot of people to the list of potential winners tomorrow. The giveaway thing.
There's loads of £20 plus contributions.
Yeah, so it worked. People are like, "Oh, we want to win something." So yeah,
brilliant, amazing stuff.
So yeah, how are you doing then? We've decided you're like the OG of Weird Car Twitter.
Yeah, not quite. I think that's really down to Sean Hudson and a few others, but I've sort of been there from the beginning. Got stuck in. I've actually created a list on cardboard, by the way, for talk about tonight. So, like in true Mighty Car Mods fashion, for how to get stuff.
I haven't seen Mighty Car Mods. Everyone keeps saying Mighty Car Mods. I've never seen.
Okay.
Is it YouTube?
It's YouTube. It's two guys in Australia.
Okay. I've got Mighty Cat Mods.
Yeah, you got Mighty Cat Mods on. Yeah. But yeah, Mighty Car Mods are in Australia. They've got a fairly big channel actually.
Probably. Yeah. I seem to all the ones that are like there'll be channels I've never heard of, and people are like, oh, they've only got like 1 million subscribers. It's fine. It's nothing, you know. I'm like, oh, what, really? And then I'm watching some obscure guy talk about trains who's got 400. You know?
We might come on to that in a minute because I got to meet them recently. So that was.
You what? Sorry.
I got to meet them recently.
Oh, okay.
So that was quite cool. I'll come on to that.
Then. So what's for? I'm gonna let you like lead with your cardboard. This is like the 10 Commandments, is it?
Well, sort of. It's just a bit of guidance for me because it's getting late now. I'm normally in bed by 10.
Is it late?
Yeah. So most people probably know me because I bought Ian's Yugo Sana some time ago. But I've been involved in cars for 30 plus years since I learned to drive. Yeah, more recently I bought the Yugo Sana and joined the Weird Car Twitter scene and just for something a bit different to do. And that was an interesting project that I was going to go on hold and be done properly. And then I was offered another Yugo Sana.
How many Yugo Sanas are there in the country?
Well, according to how many left, there's 4, I think. But we know of 6. So
okay, because cars that might not have been sawned or something since the electronic.
Yeah, exactly. We don't trust how many left, but word of mouth in the community is there's 6, possibly 7. Although one of them probably would never be able to make it back on the road. It is really rotten that we found. But the one I bought more recently was is a GL model, which is really exciting because it's got like alloy wheels and a body kit from the factory.
I think I know the body kit you mean.
Yeah, it's quite an odd thing, but it's the only one. We don't know of any others. It might even be the press car that they did all the shots with for the promotional material. So that one's in, well, compared to the white one, in really good shape. in fact, I've done a few jobs on it to get as ready as I can. All I've got to do now is change the clutch, which is completely gone, but the engine runs beautifully.
I'm guessing it's Fiat clutch and everything, is it?
Yeah, it's just a 1.4 Lampredi engine, same as they put in the Tipo.
That means you can fit a Fiat Punto turbo engine to it.
Beat me to it.
Is that what you're going to do?
Well, that was going to be the plan with the white one, is because I haven't got that running and it's missing quite a few accessories from its engine. Potentially, the engine bay could take something like a 20 valve.
So Ian's ex Yugo Sana could quite literally go pachoo.
It could do that. It could make those noises.
Oh, you have to leave it looking like it does.
Yeah, it just needs a little bit of welding on one sill and one wheel arch corner. Apart from that, the body's actually okay from an MOTing point of view. But yeah, if it was remaining looking like that, might have to go up a wheel size to put some bigger brakes under it. But
put some bigger Steelies on it or something.
Get exactly. Put some 14-inch steels off a Punto or something on it and get some bigger brakes under there. That could be.
Oh, I'd be all over that. That'd be brilliant. That would be absolutely epic.
Yeah, that's definitely an option. But we'll have to see where that goes. I've got to get the red one done first though, because that's very close. So let's focus on that one first.
Yeah.
We'll see,
so you reckon we'll see that out and about next year?
Well, I'm hoping it'll be MOT before the end of this year, the red one. So that's the plan. I might even be ready to drive it up to the NEC in November. So that was sort of my target at the moment. As it is pretty much only a clutch it needs, and then some. I probably ought to change the tyres. Whilst they were pretty much new Michelins that were put on it when it was put away. That was 22 years ago, so I probably should change that. I don't like.
They're probably past their best.
Yeah, exactly. It's not great, is it?
What do these tyres seem like? Yeah, they're fine.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. I
what F1 racers would call the hard compound.
That's the one. And I just don't like old tyres. It scares me too much.
No, I don't. I've seen some pretty horrible stuff with tyres. So I mean, I think there's like, if you've got tyres, like people say, well, you shouldn't keep tyres past whatever 5-6 years old. I think, well, if they've been out of the sun, if they've been kept indoors, you can feel them.
Yeah.
You know whether they're any good or not. I mean, there's certain points where you go past a certain age and you think, no, that's just no good.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'll go a bit further if it's tyres that have, I mean, the Imp's on 2014 rubber, 9 years old ones on the Imp. How much time has the Imp spent outside? How much time has he spent on the road working? Not much. So they still feel fine, to be honest. It doesn't do many miles, but if you're using the car up and down the motorway all the time.
Yeah, I think it's just when they're exposed to UV and and they sit a long time and get flat spots and things. Then
you go egg shape. Yeah,
no, definitely.
I'm just going to put a waffle on my cup.
Awesome. Is that some of the?
Apparently, this is normal.
This is courtesy of Whiteland Restorations, yeah.
Yeah, this is what we do now.
Excellent.
This is life now. It's Apparently, we put waffles on top of cups.
Fantastic. What a thing to do.
Yeah. So, to two Yugo Sanas.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a bit of a learning exercise for me, because I've spent probably best part of 30 years playing with classic minis. That's been my mainstay of the motoring scene for me. So getting into something different was quite fun, actually. I mean, I'm not unfamiliar with working on various different types of cars, because I've always maintained and looked after my own cars, and I've had a lot of them over the years. So it's just another little challenge. But it's not just the Yugos I've had. I mean, running the Weird Car Twitter scene exposed me to all sorts of other stuff that I've not really been involved in and seen before. And as well as the people, which are just brilliant. It's just such a great community.
It is, yeah.
Seeing some really unusual cars, and in the last couple of years, I've had I have a Toyota Paseo, little hatchback,
I've got a friend who loves Toyotas, and he pronounces it Paseo.
Paseo, yeah.
But he's quite posh,
right?
So I always said Paseo.
Yeah, I always said Paseo.
But it's a bit of a mundane car, really, isn't it? It's kind of like.
Yeah, very much so. It's just a Starlet underneath. There's nothing special.
Starlet, so it's not even Corolla based. It's
smaller than that. Yeah, it's just a Starlet with a.
Do you think that's their attempt at a Puma?
Pretty much, yeah.
Without the good to drive bit, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. It's just all a little bit for a coupe. It's just a little bit soft, a little bit underpowered. It's just a 1.5 with 88 horsepower, so it's not anything special. But it was good fun. I enjoyed driving it, and it's just quite amusing parking it in a field and letting people try and decide what it was, because a lot of people haven't seen them before.
Quite a good sized car, really, isn't it, for just sort of bombing around and
yeah, exactly.
Fun
and the good thing is when I had my time with it, I actually moved it on to a 17-year-old. Just following on what James Walsh was saying about getting a new generation involved in motoring and enjoying cars. I had an opportunity to sell it to a friend's son who just passed his test, and I said to him, you've got to look after this car. You're not going to mess around with it. And he's absolutely loving it. He's washing it every week and just.
I thought you were saying he's got it lowered with neons.
Nice. That fit him well at Radwood then.
Yeah. Was there one there?
There might well have been, actually, because there was one at Sophie this year on 3-spoke alloys, which was very period. I think that would have gone down quite well.
You have to get Katie. Will get one, and she'll put Renault turbiners on it, turbine wheels on it.
Yeah, they'll fit anything, won't they? So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, it's fine. They got anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And someone's just said, actually, Stephen Cooks just said he saw one at his local supermarket a few weeks ago. Yeah, it's quite interesting, actually. When you get an unusual car, you always start spotting the other ones of them that are out and about, and I still see 2 locally on a regular basis as well. So while you think they're kind of rare, they are out there, and it's good to see these older cars there. I mean, I think mine was about 26, 27 years old, and you think about the disposable nature of cars these days. It's really nice.
Oh yeah, that's it. We are bad for it over here. I mean,
we are. Yeah.
I think a lot of countries are going the same way, because I drove through Germany and France and things recently, and you don't see much old stuff on the road anymore, even over there.
No, not at all.
But then I expect the environmental things are probably behind that, encouraging people into newer cars because it's cleaner. And to be honest, I don't know how much cleaner it is to have a newer car. Part of me thinks, well, the energy it takes to make it versus the carbon footprint of a car that's been around for however long and has paid off the energy that it took to use it, but is now polluting slightly more than a newer car. I can't help but think that, like, they get these cars out of the cities with the ULEZ zones and things like that. But the cars that they're replacing with have to be made.
Yeah, exactly. It's a balance.
Creating carbon and everything like that. And you kind of think, well, it's creating carbon somewhere else. So it's like, well, it's not in the city, so it's not our problem. Yeah, but it's still doing it in the world. It's still, you know what I mean? It's like the local pollution for the people who live in the city is getting better. Great. But we're still making loads of new cars. And I can't help but think, like, to me, if you really want to look after the environment, you make the old cars cleaner.
Well, what's the saying is reduce, reuse, and recycle. Yeah. So yeah, we should be using our cars a bit less, maybe, but recycling. And if we maintain our cars to a good standard, once it's reached a few years old, all of its primary offset for the manufacturing process is gone, hasn't it? So.
Well, yeah, I mean, if putting effort into, as I say, making like little inline motors that can go in diffs and replace a differential.
Yeah.
So it can act as a mechanical diff. but propel the car at 15, 20 mile an hour max for cities and things. You put that in loads of old cars, surely that's going to be better.
Yeah, it's just a brilliant idea. Someone really needs to take that concept on and make it work. I think that's
not in their interest to do it, though, is it? There'll be too many people who don't make money if you do that.
Yeah, and as you said, you know, it's the attitude of people as well. Most people seem to just want a new car, and they're happy to go with the cheap leasing option to get into a new car for a small amount per month. Although if you add it up, I think it's really quite expensive.
I don't think it's a small amount per month.
No, it's. I mean, I've always bought my own cars, and that's just the way it's been. And although you don't have to spend a lot of money on a car, it's quite nice to actually own it, and you know, that's your possession. Your responsibility, and I think that makes people look after them more as well. I think you find there's a lot of these lease cars that are just used and abused, and they're just treated.
Yeah, I mean, if you know you're only keeping it a maximum of 3 years.
Yeah.
Why look after it in the long run?
Yeah.
Although to be fair, people are, you know, when they buy a car like a new car, they'll buy some sort of service plan with it as well. So they're just, you know, it covers all the services. It adds a warranty. It adds the MOTs if you do one. Because obviously for 3 years you don't. So a lot of people do that as a package and don't think about it at all. But I think it depends how much you're into cars, doesn't it? Like if you're into your cars, like everyone in this chat here is going to be into cars, really.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And they're all going to have like a bit of control over their own cars.
No, definitely.
Right. You know, it's everyone's going to want a kind of a handle on how the car's looked after and what's done to it, whether they do it themselves or whether they choose the people they give them to and instruct what they want done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, and going back to that lad with the Passeo, I mean, I was talking to my kids about it, and they're 14, the oldest two, and I said to them, like, with insurance, like some car insurance at the moment for kids is just mental.
Yeah,
we always say that, but it really is now. Like you could be over £3,000 a year
easily. Yeah.
And I can't help but think there are going to be cars out there that are cheaper to insure because they're oddball.
Yeah.
Because it's all done by computers now.
That's right.
And there's so many glitches. Like when I used to get my car insurance, I used to put in, like, how many miles a year do you do? I'd be like, well, I'm not going to put 10,000. I'll put 999. No, 9999. Actually, no, don't put 9999 because the computers are getting wise to that. I'll put 9949. And all of a sudden, your premium drops by £200 a year. You're like, there you go. It's that kind of thing. I mean, I remember when I was 18, I had a Honda Prelude 2 litre, second gen Honda Prelude. I paid less to insure that than I did the AX GT before it. And that was a 2 litre with 140 horsepower or whatever.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It was a Honda Prelude. And the computer went, well, that we haven't got many records of those in accidents with young kids. No, my waffle. Oh no, I've had a disaster.
Oh no,
my waffle is structurally compromised.
Make a note, Carly. 2:34 a.m. Wafflegate.
Wafflegate. No, that's all right if you dunk it.
Excellent.
Go back to your commandments.
Yeah,
I overtook there with something else.
So leading on from that, you know, the whole weird car Twitter thing is good for people, for you know, meeting people, doing things with other people you've not met before, and making new relationships and things like that. And it really does help people. And you know, I know a lot of people that feed off it, and it's a really good thing. But it's not a difficult thing to get into either, because if you're thinking of getting a car to, you know, that's a bit more interesting, maybe as a second car or something, you'd have to spend a lot of money to do it. There's some cars out there that you know, that are interesting, possibly a bit rubbish, but that's part of the fun. I mean, the day before the Hubnut meet last weekend, I bought a Skoda Favorit for 500 quid with a couple of months MOT on it.
What, the one you took there?
Yeah.
That was a Felicia, wasn't it?
Felicia, sorry, yeah. Felicia, yeah. I've only driven it twice. Yeah, but it was for sale just up the road for 500 quid with a couple of months MOT on it. It's got the most epic lacquer peel ever on the roof and bonnet.
It's almost like crazing, isn't it?
It's incredible. Yeah. In fact, I might charge people to just kind of pick it off because it's flaking so much.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A therapy thing. It's like bubble wrap, isn't it? That'd be great fun for people. But it's an interesting car, actually. There's not many left. I'll be honest, it drives really well. It's only done 80,000 miles and it's been well serviced all its life. I've got a dealer history up to about 8,000 ago. So it's a great little runabout. I probably should start to use it a bit more. But they're out there and they're interesting cars. And, it was just interesting to have people having a nose around it and having...
You're like not West Country based, but you're kind of that way, aren't you?
I'm Somerset, yeah.
Yeah, so you're not a million miles from Bristol, and they've had their clean air zone thing come in. Do you think you're going to start seeing cars like that going up for sale, or or do I just scrap it, sort of thing, like people do in the ULEZ?
Yeah, so I'm only 20 miles from Bristol, and I work in Bristol, and I've started seeing quite a few more coming up on the classifieds now. I think certainly some people I've been talking to through work, they're not too bothered because a lot of people live... the zone itself in Bristol is quite small, actually, and it hasn't really caught a huge amount of the people that are in the bigger conurbations outside of the city. So
a bit more just like the city centre.
Yeah, exactly. They've been a bit cheeky on some of the roads they've included that they needn't have included, because some of those are quite convenient commuter runs, but that's typical of any of those planning jobs. They try and squeeze as much money as they can out of it, doesn't it? But, so it's not affecting people too much. I mean, my two main cars, neither of which are compliant. I think I've been into the zone once so far in one of those cars and paid the fee because that was convenient for me. But generally, you don't need to. Unfortunately, they're shooting themselves in the foot in Bristol because they've got a big shopping centre in the centre of town that now is captured in that zone. But the out of town shopping centre at Cribbs Causeway outside is thriving. They're getting all the trade.
Not in the zone.
Exactly. They're getting all the trade and it's free parking there. So if you pay for your parking and you pay for your cars, you're looking at 20 quid before you start doing anything. So people are just going to out of town. So I think they've not made a good decision there, and that's going to really hurt the town centre, which is it has been going downhill for many years, and this just isn't going to help it, I'm sure. But it's...
I wonder if my mate Adventures in Rust is on. I don't think he is.
I've not seen him yet, no.
He's in Bristol, but he sounds like he's in Bristol.
Yes.
He's like proper Bristol. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't say yeah, he says yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm actually from Gloucestershire rather than from Bristol, but I now live in Somerset. I'm not really a Bristol person as such, but I've always worked in Bristol.
No, you don't sound like it.
No. So, got a quick one for you then. I've been looking through the classifieds today to see what potential weird car Twitter cars are out there at a fair price for people to get involved. So I want your opinion on some of these. So,
someone wants my opinions.
Yeah. So
this would be good.
We've got
no, it's not normal, and it doesn't happen to every bloke.
A 1995 Fiat Tipo.
Oh, I like the wheels.
Yeah, it's got Lancia wheels on it.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
And that's
quite a basic spec Fiat Tipo, isn't it? Because it's got black bumpers.
Yeah, it's just a 1.4. 1.4 base model by the looks of it, and that's 1,300 quid with an MOT.
Okay.
So I think that's a worthy weird car Twitter car. At a fair price. What about something a little bit newer, quirky? Hey, this will suit Miss Hubnut actually. It's Daihatsu Materia.
Oh yeah, she's going to be getting excited.
I've got another one for her later as well actually. Again, that's what year is that? That's a 57 plate. Low mileage.
Is that the one where the lights at the back are like really low down?
That's right. Yeah, they sweep underneath. Yeah.
It's almost like they've forgotten to put the lights on. Like, oh crap!
Exactly.
Just stick them down there in the bumper where the Citroen goes. Yeah, the Citroen's much smaller.
Yeah,
that'd be all right. No one noticed.
That's it, exactly. But again, you know, interesting car. Not many on the road.
Charlie wants to know where it is.
1,300 quid. You know.
Ian, guess where you're going tomorrow? Genuinely, I think that's where you're going tomorrow.
I'll send the details over after.
What engines and material got in it then? Is it a 1300?
It's a 1500. It's a 1.5, 103.
Oh, the Toyota then.
There were a few of the Citroens with that engine. The Citroen Sport came with that engine. But there's only a handful of those in the UK. I'd love to get my hands on one of those, actually. That'd be quite good.
Well, there's one there. The Citroen Sport, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. What else have we got here? What about a Volvo? 940 saloon.
Can't get excited about a Volvo. I try. I mean, I like. There was a couple of Volvos that I really like, and I respect them. But I just can't get excited about them.
I like the way the Stella specifies it's a red block.
I suppose because the engine's worth something to tune it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when you buy a BX16 valve, it was like BX16 valve MI16 engine in the title.
Yeah.
They knew 205 guys would be all over it.
Exactly. And then this one's a bit cheaper, but it does need a bit of welding. But I think Miss Hubnut might like this one as well.
Oh my god!
Which is a Daihatsu Hi-Jet with extra seats in it. I don't know.
It's like a sex toy coloured Daihatsu Hi-Jet.
Yeah, I'm going to have to show it again. It is just a thing of beauty, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I think beauty where you are and where I am mean different things.
It would draw some attention, that's for sure.
Well, so I'm waiting for Carly's. Zadster has heard screams of joy, and I don't think he's anywhere near Carly. So, yeah, Carly's just had a moment.
Yeah.
So is it that though, or the materia, Carly? That's the thing. You can only that. How much is that one, Matt?
700.
700.
Yeah, it does need a little bit of welding, but we could sort that.
There can't be much welding to do on it. There's not much car.
There's not much car there to start with, no.
Ian comes home to 3 Daihatsus. Giselle is outside the workshop with the windows left down.
Fantastic. So anyway,
I think people are getting upset that I've said I don't like. I haven't said I don't like Volvos. I just can't get excited about them. I mean, the BTCC car, yeah, come on. I mean, the Volvo Super Tourer, they had an inflatable dog on the roof. When they went around the driver's parade, they had a dog on the roof of it. That they were just properly milking it. So yeah, now you've got to love them. We've got the engine in the S-Max. It's a good engine. Before the cylinder liner cracks, which it inevitably will one day. I don't know. I don't know. Anytime anyone I know buys a Volvo, I'm like, I'm going to try and get excited for you.
I'm going to say something that probably will offend other people, but I feel the same way about most Rovers.
Oh, okay. I prefer Rovers. Probably just more for a nostalgia thing. I mean, there are some of them that drive well. But yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? I mean, as I say, I've no doubt a Volvo is a good car. Absolutely no doubt at all. I'm sure they are. I quite like the C30 because it looks pretty funky.
It's a quirky little thing, isn't it? Yeah.
They're a funny little thing. So the P1800's a beautiful car, and the Amazon version of that. I don't know. I just can't get excited. Oh, they make the estate car they made up until recently. I think that was a really good looking car. I've forgotten what it was called. A V something.
V90, the big one.
The V90, real sleek looking.
Yeah.
I really like those.
Yeah, that's probably one of the nicest modern estate cars.
Yeah, there's only really that and the 508. That's the only two that I look at and think, oh, yeah, nice. All the others, I think.
Yeah, when they get to 15 years old, I'll probably be in the market for one of those.
Yeah. And all the computers have gone down and it's balked.
Right, next, leading on from that, actually, next topic to some extent is road trips. So most of the Weird Car Twitter meets and various other meets and events that I do in the scene involve going for a decent road trip. So for you, what's the best road trip you've done?
Oh. One of my road trips can coincide with one of my stories.
Sounds
Actually,
good.
no, it can't. No, bollocks, it can't. I've done so many. It's going to sound really cheesy saying it, but it's the recent trips to Europe with the family. Taking the C6 to France was quite a special thing. I really, really enjoyed that because we'd driven up the A3 in the S-Max. We'd loaded up fully. We're a family of 5 of us, 3 kids, 3 teenagers now, pretty much. Boot full of clobber. And we're driving up the A3 to go to France, to drive to the tunnel, so that 16 Valver can drive us to France in his train.
In his train, yeah.
In his train, yeah. He sent me a picture the other day. He's got I'm not joking. He's got a picture of Bruce Willis in the cab. Moonlighting era Bruce Willis.
Brilliant.
Why? He's like, why not? But so we were driving up the A3, and it was that whole thing where we'd planned for ages to take the S-Max, and it had some issues, and I'd fixed them, and we were driving along, and it started stuttering, and we didn't know why. And then we also got out, and we could smell this smell, and one of the rear calipers was sticking. I thought, oh God! And you're kind of in that awkward position where you're like, you've got an expensive tunnel now because they're not cheap anymore. You've got a tunnel booked, you've got accommodation the other side, you've got a big long road trip, and we were driving from Calais when we got to France down through Rouen. I'm not pronouncing these names right, but down through Rouen, and then down to Vendée, Vendée, as we would say, but Vendée, down below Brittany. So that's a long old trip.
Yep.
I mean, you're nearly halfway down France on the west coast where we were going. And your car started stuttering on the A3 just after you've got going. We're near Guildford. What do? Do you keep going? Do you turn around? Do you change cars? What do you do? And it was a baking hot day, and the C6's aircon wasn't working. It is now, but it wasn't then. And it was this last minute thing. I was like, what do we do? And the kids are all like bummed out, and Mrs. is upset, and we're like, and the C6 is poorly. I mean, the gearbox is poorly in it, and it was not ready. It wasn't prepped. It hadn't been serviced. It was just really not ready to go. It was filthy. It was just parked up. And in the end, we said, the safest. And she said, what car have you got more confidence in right now? I said, right now, C6, because it's given me no reason not to be, whereas the S-Max has started kangarooing down the road. So we changed the tunnel, went back and got the C6 last minute, and like, in the morning, I woke up thinking I was going on holiday in a people carrier. I'm driving a C6 through France. And it was just the coolest thing. It was just like, no one cared. I mean, like, I thought I'd get off the tunnel and all the French people would be like, oh, I mean, after you sort of thing, they couldn't give a shit. They did not care at all. But yeah, it was just so cool to drive around in it. And we just did so much varied driving, lots of high-speed auto routes, lots of countryside, and going through Paris in it. Like going through Paris like a Parisian, like not caring. You're just cutting people up left, right, and centre. You do what they do, just indicate and go. Going through the Arc de Triomphe, like, oh, I'm not stopping. And yeah, it was just such a cool trip. It was, it was really hot. The aircon, it was 37 degrees at one point. And the aircon wasn't working. So you had all the windows. You're doing 140 kilometers an hour or something like that. You got all the windows down right the way. So all you can hear is like a rocket going off. And I don't know, it's just something about it. It was just that last minute thing, and it did it. It did the whole trip without complaining. And then we got back, and that's when I did one of the videos I did where I discovered that one of the cooling pipes was like you just touch it and it would fall apart.
Wow.
So yeah, I think that was it. That was probably the one. But I mean, there's a few. I say we took with that. Yeah, I mean, I could do loads. Probably not the one where I drove the BX to Wales to get the Reliant Fox. Probably not that. I mean, the BX. Don't get me wrong. That BX now is. Yeah, I'd have to do it now.
That one though.
But that was a stressful trip. That was really bad. And the worst one was I got to this place I was staying in Wales, and I knocked the door. No, sorry, I went into the reception, and she goes, "Right, okay, here's your room and everything." It was a lovely room. Here's your room and everything. I was like, "Are you still doing food?" She went, "No, we stopped 10 minutes ago." And I'd had nothing to eat for like 7 hours or something like that. And I went upstairs. I can't remember what I watched on telly. It was about 10 to 9. And I just went to bed.
Brilliant.
Going to sleep.
The only way.
The day's gone so badly, I'm not going to let anything else go wrong. I'm just going to go to sleep. So yeah, it was just one of those. But that's the worst. But no, best road trip. Yeah, it's probably going to be the first C6 trip to France, I would say.
Fantastic. I mean, I love driving on the continent. I'm over there all the time. I took my R53 Mini Cooper S to Italy in May, and decided to do all 8 countries, and came back via Austria and Germany, and it was just an epic trip. And
that's what I want to do.
That's what I live for, is doing those long trips. And whilst the UK is fantastic, and I still got a lot of the UK to explore, just getting out on the continent, I don't know why it is, you just feel a bit freer to go for it, and you can cover
so much
huge distances in such short time. Yeah.
You can. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, when I looked at the distance, we did Calais down to Vendée, whatever. We were down there for a bit. We were sort of south of Saint-Nazaire, and then we came back up. And we were going to stay not outside Paris, really. It's kind of nearer between. How do you say? Is it Rennes? People say Reims, but
yeah. You can say you want. Everyone knows it as Reims.
Yeah, and halfway between the really cool place with the grandstand, and halfway between there and Paris is where we were staying. And we went from there up to Le Mans. Went to the museum, which I love the museum at Le Mans. If you ever go party, you've got to have a look in there.
It's brilliant.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
They have an SM. And then we went from there, carried on straight away off to this place where we were staying. And we did all this journeying, and I looked at the distance we'd covered. I thought, bloody hell, you wouldn't have done that in the UK.
No, exactly. You just look at my kilometer, and it's crazy.
Yeah, you just you can move even if the roads are busy. Everyone keeps moving. There's no jam where everyone's too close, and then they bunch up, and the traffic jam moves at a certain speed. It just keeps going. And I came back and I waxed lyrical about continental roads, and I got flack for saying the roads in Belgium were great. And
interesting.
Okay. And I was like, really? I thought they were good and everything. And then we drove through Belgium this time, and I take it back. They're not great at all. They're like this country. They're awful. The ones around Bruges are lovely.
Yeah, once you get a bit further south into Belgium, it's certainly more.
Yeah, we go around the Brussels ring road. Oh,
yeah, some of them are a bit rough.
No,
yeah, the bit of Brussels is horrible. The Italian roads did my suspension in, actually. In fact, this weekend I've got to replace the suspension on my R53 because the Italian roads killed it.
Really? That bad?
Yeah, broke both my front dampers. So, yeah, pretty rough over there.
Well, it's not happened the last time some minis went to Italy.
Yeah, it was all.
It goes through tunnels.
Indeed. I'm just conscious we've not got much time left, but we've done road trips. What about events? What's your favourite event that you go to? What sort of event is it, and would you change it in any way?
Oh. I can't. It's going to sound really. I don't want to sound like a knob saying this. I'm starting to not enjoy car shows. Like,
I'm with you.
I go there. The only thing I do when I go there is talk to people.
Yeah.
I used to get a kick out of cleaning a car, or driving to a show, parking it up, and going through that business. And I think maybe if it was a show, maybe something like if you take the Imp, if I take Hilda to a local car show or to a show where you get like modified cars and things, that can be interesting because you've got such a variety around you. And then there's the Citroen ones where I did the old Citroen, the BX anniversary. We had that at the Citroen Car Club National Rally. And I kind of organised this BX bit, and I really enjoyed that. But that was only because it was a specific thing that we were doing. We had there's three of us who run the BX bit, and we had a really great laugh with each other and like everyone else who was there, and so it was more the social side of it. And like when I went to the social the other day, the Ian's Hubnut thing,
yeah,
I don't look at any of the cars.
No, me neither.
I just talk
all
to
about
people, and then after a while I start to think. I think I see enough cars. I think you get to a point where you're just not excited about seeing cars anymore. And I was like it at Festival of the Unexceptional. We didn't look around. My missus on the way home was like, we didn't actually look around anything there. We drove all this way and not looked at any cars. There was a such and such. I was like, was there? And there's all that prize giving for who's won. I'm not interested in any of that. I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, everyone who's there with their car is equal. So yeah. The event. I don't really have favourite events. I just like the Hubnut social at Brooklands last year.
Yeah.
That was real. I enjoyed that. That was really good. It was a real good mix of cars, a lot of good people, and it was at Brooklands, which is one of my favourite places. So I'd probably put that one up there. That one just had this vibe about it. I mean, Carlisle.
But that's different because you've got the word social in the title of the event. I mean, that's what it's
I think that's the key thing. Yeah. Ian nailed it the other day. He said it's not about the car you bring. Like,
no.
He's not even turning his nose up at people bringing in a new SUV. He's like, well, it's just a car you drove here in. It's not, it's social. It's not a car show.
As far as I'm concerned, I've got respect for anyone who's interested in motoring because it's a dying passion for people, isn't it? It's anyone who's interested in motoring. Yeah, come and chat.
I think for me, the things I enjoy more now with cars are things like that. I don't know. Can you see? Oh, God.
Yeah.
The Super Touring Power I went to. That was just Brands Hatch, which is one of my favourite places on the planet. Super Tourers going around.
Yeah, I was following some of the preparation of those cars, and there's been some real effort in bringing some of those back to full health. It's been incredible.
Yeah, no, that was my highlight. I mean, not really things like I did the NEC once. No, I've done the NEC a few times, but I did it once on a stand.
Okay.
And I quite enjoyed. Yeah, we had a BX stand, and I quite enjoyed that. But all the other times I go, it's just a lot of walking around and like. There's a car, and like, yeah, I don't like going to events where you feel like you've had to go there because if you didn't go, you feel like you'd be missing out.
Yeah.
When the reality is when you're there, you're like.
Precisely. So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Kind of that's how I feel at the moment. I'm not as the gems for me are the little things like the Hubnut Social at Brooklands and. Events with racing and things. I like to have a focal point. So, like, I'm nuts about motorsport. So, if cars are whizzing around a track, I'll go and watch it.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, I like to join both those things up: the road trips and the socials. I'll happily drive 3 or 4 hours each way just to go to a social on a day, because I get to see some people I know, I get to meet new people, and I get to spend a load of time driving a car that's usually not up to the job. So that's the fun of it.
The car that may or may not get you
exactly.
There.
That's part of your challenge, isn't it? Will you get there? Will you get back? Yeah. So that's yeah, I agree with you. I think big future for socials, but I do fear for some of the bigger static type shows, if you like, the traditional type shows. There's just not enough of interest these days to walk around, and they usually.
The only thing that makes you think like
Oh.
that shows you that there might be something in it is like Festival of the Unexceptional and things like that, because that's just getting huge. But and I'm not trying to be controversial or anything like that. I think it's getting bigger, but it's kind of losing the focus. I think it's just becoming an outdoor version of the NEC. Like you see so many cars and you think, well, this is Sierra Cosworth. I mean, like that, you know, and I think it's because perhaps in the way in their heads, the way they're organising it, there's a Festival of the Unexceptional, which is just that little concourse bit at the front, and everything else is classic car parking. I
agree. It does seem to have lost a bit of its focus of why it exists as an event. But obviously, like any event, it's commercial in that way, and they want it to grow.
Well, apparently, magazines make their money now, or not magazines, publishers make their money from events.
Yeah.
From what I've been told, yeah, apparently the magazines are a bit of a loss leader now. Because written print isn't as in demand as it was.
Not at all.
Not with everything online now. And the events are kind of like the loss leader thing. But it's strange because over abroad, I mean, we've got a big car culture here. We've probably got one of the best car cultures. But like abroad, you'll get young timers meets in France and things where you just get younger people meeting up with all sorts of stuff from the 80s and 90s. You don't get that here.
No, not at all.
The young timer scene here is nothing, dead. It's kind of like you've got Pratchell Classics who will take on anything. Modern classics fell by the wayside. What else have you got?
Yeah,
just individual little.
Not just France either. There's a big young timer scene in Germany as well.
I think it originated in Germany.
Yeah, been to a couple of evening meets while I've been over in Germany, and they're brilliant. It's great to see, you know, old cars being really well looked after by a new generation. It's really fun.
I just need to check, Chris Pollitt.
We need to hand over.
If you're in the chat, Chris Pollitt, say so. But he might have fallen asleep, so I thought I won't kick you off if he's fallen asleep, unless you fall asleep. But no, I think I'm in the minority. I think a lot of people do like going to the shows, and of course I'm being an old moaner because I work on cars. I'm surrounded by them all the time. My life is just cars. I'm surrounded at home. I'm surrounded here.
Yeah.
I work on them. I'm there. They pay for my mortgage every month. You know, it's just constant all the time. So, and for a lot of people, they don't. They work in an office. They do a job they hate to pay for someone they don't like and whatnot. And their car's their escape on the weekend.
That's me. Yeah.
So they, you know, that gets them out and they get to the shows and they're loving it and they're looking around and yeah, I totally get it. Totally get it. I mean, I'm a minority really because I'm just in that. You know, I've got so much here. I just think, well, I've got my own cars. I'll just go and look at my own cars.
Yeah.
But just waiting to see if Chris has.
Yeah, we'll see if Chris.
I don't want to I wouldn't be surprised if he's fallen asleep, but.
Yeah, and just taking that, saying about driving to a social, to a slightly larger extent. I went Mighty Car Mods one evening said they were doing a meet in Paris, a social meet in Paris, and I just happened not to be at work that day, so I just jumped in the car and drove to Paris and went to their social meet.
As you do,
and great, got to have a chat with them and meet up with 70 or 80 like-minded people mainly from France. Yeah, and again, there was quite a few youngsters there in classic and modified cars. It was really good to see a mix of people there. Those socials really do work. Carly was particularly happy because I wore a Hubnut t-shirt with Shemi the Charade on it. So photos of me with the Mighty Car Mods guys wearing a t-shirt with Shemi on. It's all good fun though. But I'm always looking for road trips, and I think, you know, as you know, the weird car Twitter scene. If someone just says who wants to go somewhere, I'm sure we'll get a massive group together that will just go for it. And
do love a road trip. Yeah, I think cars are there for driving. If you're not fixing them.
No.
When the SM's done, in many decades, it will be down to the Amalfi Coast.
Wow, that's a big trip.
Yeah.
Big trip. But that's the car for it, though, isn't it? Just lazy, just get down there and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that'll be the plan.
Mm.
Yeah, no, the Amalfi Coast. Yeah, traveling through France.
Mm.
It's
definitely
on the to-do list.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a really great thing to do. I as I said, I try and do at least 3 or 4 trips a year around or into Europe and doing things in Europe, and it's just so therapeutic to get out there and experience some different stuff. Experience different cultures, and it really is on our doorstep. It's for anyone in the UK, it's not that
far. Quite as on our doorstep as it was, but it's not yet.
Only
have to queue up a bit more now.
5 minutes at passport a couple of months ago, so that was all right.
Actually, no, I tell you what, which one was it? We went through one the last time, and it was surprisingly quick. We just got lucky, really, on the timings. But yeah, it's nothing like as easy as it used to be. It used to be dead simple.
Yeah, but, you could bring more beer back as well.
Yeah, I brought a bit back. I've got some beer here. Mrs. has brought it in. I'm thinking, I don't think I'm going to have beer. I'll be drinking energy drinks.
Yeah, you probably don't want beer tonight.
No.
Get more of those waffles down you, though.
Yeah, quite. Yeah. I can't believe I forgot about it on the cup, and it just like a sinkhole.
So if Chris is delayed a little bit, here's another question for you then. What would you think is a good starter classic for someone to have a play with if they want to do some sort of repair or restoration work and they were relatively new to it? My natural go-to would be a Mini, obviously, but I'm used to them. But nowadays they're not really accessible because they're too damn expensive.
Yeah. It depends how old you're looking at. I mean, you want something that's easy to get and cheap enough to get parts for, and not too difficult to work on.
Yeah.
To be honest, cars have any Super Mini from like the 80s and 90s, Clio, Mark III, Fiesta, they're all going to need welding.
Yeah, they will.
So it's kind of like, I mean, look at Steve's Clio.
Yeah.
I think he noticed that. Oh, God. I saw that and I was like, Steve, that's dead, mate. No, it's fine.
Yeah, even
you must really like that car, Steve.
Yeah, even Rory's Lupo as well. It's not.
I've not seen that.
Car, isn't
I mean,
yeah,
something like an AX, 205.
Yeah, you can still pick 205s up, can't you?
Yeah. If you're not getting a GTI, one of the sporty ones, then
yeah, they're still around.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, Peter's got a point there. MX-5, if you can afford the insurance, that's not a bad shout. Actually, you can still get MX-5s fairly cheap, and
they do half rust though.
They do rust, but they're well supported on the aftermarket for parts. So.
They are, yeah. Triumph Stag. What's the first plastic?
Not sure.
Scimitar SS1.
Yeah.
Find the Scimitar SS1 first. Has anyone got a Reliant Scimitar SS1? Because I have in my possession some kind of workshop manual for one of those, which I'm going to put in the raffle.
Oh, talking of the raffle, I'll throw in a bundle of retro stuff for someone.
Hey.
So yeah, all sorts. I can throw a random selection of stuff. I'll tell you what I've got actually. You can have a brand new TDK cassette. There you go, in its wrapper.
Bloody hell.
I'm going to give that away with a bundle of other stuff. And I've got some weird car Twitter stickers as well.
Oh, you'll have to send me some pictures and details so that I can list them.
Yeah.
Tomorrow after Auto Shenanigans, I'm going to kind of get all the raffly prizes and all the lists and names and everything that people have done, all the donations in here, ready so I can do the randomised number.
Excellent.
Draw, and so I'll have a list of everything we're going to give away.
Brilliant. Some more actually. I've got Sky brand audio cassettes, C90s. Look at that, brand new.
I haven't got a tape. Well, I have got a tape. What car's got a tape player in it? No, I haven't got a car with a tape player in it.
Actually, I've got bundles of tapes, bundles of cassettes, because I still use them as I do vinyl.
Oh,
but
no, my down's here. There you go. That's got a tape player in it.
There you go. You've got a cassette player there. Yeah.
Right, Chris is about.
Excellent.
We have a Pollet.
Fantastic. Which reminds me, I need to go and see him. Another good weird car Twitter thing. He picked up some parts for me from someone else and has acted as courier, and I've got to go and grab them from him. So thanks for doing that, Chris.
That's a good thing about weird car Twitter, isn't it?
Definitely.
So I'm going to go and find a Pollet. I'm going to go for a wee first, then I'm going to find a Pollet, and then I'll be back again.
Fantastic.
So thanks for your time, mate. I appreciate that. It's been a good chat.
No worries. See you online later.
Yeah, and if we get stuck for stuff and I'm quiet and you've got questions left, write them in the comments and we'll just keep going.
I'll give you a nudge. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right, mate. Nice one. Thanks, Matt.
See you later.
Cheers.